No one expected the night to unravel the way it did. Not the fans, not the organizers, and certainly not the people who had been watching Dylan Wang and Shen Yue's dynamic with quiet anticipation for years. It was supposed to be a simple, polished, high-energy awards show, one where actors paraded across the stage, smiled for the cameras, accepted trophies, and sprinkled just enough drama to keep the internet buzzing. Everything was choreographed, rehearsed, and perfectly timed. Until Shen Yue stood up from her seat. Until she hesitated. Until she walked out, just minutes before Dylan Wang was scheduled to take the stage. And the audience, both in the venue and online, exploded into confusion. The cameras tried to avoid catching her, but they couldn't. The moment was too big, too sudden, too real. Shen Yue's back was straight, her steps slow but determined, her expression unreadable as she made her way down the aisle. She didn't greet anyone. She didn't wave. She didn't smile. It was as if she needed air desperately before the world closed in around her. And immediately, fans demanded answers. Why did she leave? Why at that exact moment? And what did it have to do with Dylan Wang? For a brief moment, even the host looked thrown off. The lights dimmed for the next performance. Staff members hurriedly whispered into microphones, and the entire event seemed to shift into a strange, electric tension, one that had Dylan's name at its center. Because backstage, Dylan had no idea what was happening. He was preparing, fixing his jacket, practicing his lines, steeling himself for the moment he would face thousands of fans, and maybe, just maybe, catch a glimpse of someone he hadn't spoken to in far too long. The truth was simple. He knew she would be there, and that fact alone had left him more nervous than he cared to admit. But before he stepped forward, someone rushed him. A staff member, out of breath, panicked. She left, they whispered. Shen Yue just walked out, and Dylan froze. It took 1 second for the color in his face to drain. 1 second for his heartbeat to falter. 1 second for his breath to catch. As if the winds had been around. The internet tore itself apart with theories. Some fans insisted she wasn't feeling well. Others said she was avoiding cameras. A few whispered about industry pressure, miscommunication, or something more delicate. But the loudest voices, the ones that trended instantly, claimed the moment had everything to do with the unresolved tension between her and Dylan Wang. And backstage, the truth was unfolding silently within Dylan himself. He didn't say a word. Not at first. He just stood there, staring into space, trying to make sense of something that clearly cut deeper than he expected. The air around him felt colder. His hands trembled, not from anger, but from something far more painful. Disappointment, shock, and maybe hurt. The assistant called him again. "Dylan, they're calling you. You're on." He blinked, swallowed hard, forced his shoulders back. But his eyes, those usually bright, confident eyes, had dimmed. He stepped onto the stage to thunderous applause, but his smile was restrained. The crowd screamed his name, but his gaze searched the audience instinctively, hoping for a familiar face, a comforting presence, someone who had always effortlessly anchored him. But she wasn't there. He knew it. Everyone knew it. And still, he couldn't stop looking. Something inside him cracked. The performance went smoothly. The speech was clear. The energy was high. But the cameras caught something subtle. The way his jaw clenched, the way his fingers tapped nervously with shaking hands. He didn't greet the staff. He didn't check his phone. He didn't respond to congratulations. He just whispered, "She really left because of me?" His manager didn't answer, because no one truly knew. But the question lingered in the room like a storm cloud. Later, much later, someone finally told Dylan what they saw. Shen Yue had been sitting quietly during the show, occasionally glancing at the stage, occasionally fiddling with the silver ring she always wore on her index finger, the same one fan speculated had its sentimental meaning. But when Dylan's name appeared on the upcoming segment list displayed on the event monitor, her expression changed. Her breath hitched. Her eyes flickered downward. Her fingers tightened around the armrest. And she stood up, without hesitation, without explanation, as if staying would hurt, as if leaving was the only way she knew how to protect herself. And that was what stunned the internet. Because it didn't look like avoidance. It looked like heartache. Fans who analyzed the footage slowed it down, frame by frame, pointing out every small detail. The press of her lips, the redness in her eyes, the deep inhale she took before walking down that aisle. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't attention-seeking. It was quiet pain. And Dylan felt that. He sat alone in his dressing room afterward, replaying every memory he had with her. Not the glamorous ones. Not the scenes filmed under perfect lighting, but the real ones. Her laughing uncontrollably at something he said by accident. Her offering him ginger tea between takes because his throat hurt. Her fumbling with lines and apologizing, and him telling her she was doing great. Her leaning on him when they filmed emotional scenes and trusting him more than she realized. Trust. That was the word that echoed in his mind. And suddenly, he wondered if he had broken that trust somewhere along the way. Maybe in the years that followed their drama. Maybe in the choices he made. Maybe in the distance he let grow between them. He didn't know what the answer was, but he knew how it felt. Empty. Heavy. Wrong. The rumors amplified instantly. Some harsh, some sympathetic. Was she avoiding him? Was something said backstage? Do they have unresolved feelings? Did Dylan do something? Did Shen Yue hear something that hurt her? But the truth, whatever it was, remained hidden between the two people who didn't speak a single word to each other that night. And the silence only fueled the fire. A fan claimed Shen Yue wiped her eyes in the hallway. Another said Dylan looked devastated after his stage performance. A staff member whispered that he asked 3 separate times if she was okay. Someone else said she left the venue entirely, skipping all backstage interviews. None of these details could be confirmed. But one thing was clear. Something about seeing him walk onto that stage shattered her. And something about her walking out before he did shattered him. Hours later, after the show ended, Dylan sat in his car in the parking garage, still in his suit, still holding the trophy he had won, staring at his phone. Not because he expected a message from her, but because he wanted to send one. Just one. Something simple.